And what is going on, everybody? On this Sunday night / Monday morning, depending on where you live on the planet, this is After Hours, our 21st live stream. Hard to believe we've done 21 of these now, and we skipped on quite a few opportunities because of holidays and other things. Having it on Sunday night is kind of weird, but it seems like every other tech tuber has claimed another day of the week, so we're stuck with Sundays. And I appreciate those of you who have decided to tune in. What's going on, Cody Solak? I see you, Trucker Bomb. Amin Ben, no regrets with a Z. Good spelling. Wesley Dalton, what's going on, folks? So I changed the title of this video kind of last minute. I want to talk a little bit about the Nvidia launch coming up, or supposed Nvidia launch. We know they're going to say something at Gamescom. That's happening, well, tomorrow or today, depending on where you live. So we're going to kind of speculate a little bit, talk about what I think, based on the stuff that I've seen, we should expect performance-wise from the new architecture, and efficiency, stuff like that. And we can really look at jumps in the past as well. I like to do that, kind of see the progression of efficiency for one, right? With how efficient Pascal was over Maxwell, that was a huge leap. I think that was even more noteworthy than just the performance jump overall from Maxwell to Pascal in the same price category. So for $400, right, that used to be GTX, it's hard to remember, 970, 980 territory. $400 now gets you a 1070, and in some cases a 1080, and that is a huge jump forward. I mean, it's an enormous gap in frame rate differences, right, between those two cards, just from one generation alone. Now, granted, this isn't, an incremental thing we see every year, right? NVIDIA's been on this architecture for, 3 years or so? So it's not like Intel kind of refreshing the same crap every single year and having marginal increases. We see big increases typically with graphics card launches, and I expect this one will be significant, definitely significant. Yes, you're right there. Victor says 1070 was 65% faster than 970, and I believe it. The 970 was it's a good card at the time. I had like 3 or 4 different 970s. This is back before I could ever get a graphics card for free, so I was buying all these and selling them and flipping them and all that stuff. But yeah, 970 was good for 1080p, middle ground 1440p, had to drop some settings. And then I remember I had a 980 Ti, and that was like double 970 performance. And a 980 Ti is very comparable now to a 1070. So, and a 970 Ti or 980 Ti costs what, $650, $700 MSRP back when it was the big thing. So, yeah, I think this will be really cool to watch unfold over time. And we're going to see the initial launch of sorts. They're going to announce it. They're going to talk about it, try to hype it up and stuff. We're not sure when these things will actually hit the market. But there's always some degree of, like there's this waiting period where they're trying to, again, build up the hype. So Kafaza says, what do you think the RTX 2070 and 2080 are going to be? I think that's what you meant to say. If you're talking about performance, I think the 2070, I think we're going to see a comparable jump in performance to that of Maxwell to Pascal. I'm not seeing like a huge, like double the performance of a 1070 and a 2070. I don't see like that. That to me is just too far-fetched. And looking at the stuff that we have in these graphics cards, assuming, we don't even know for sure if they're going to have the components that we talked about in our previous Turing architecture video, right? So having the tensor cores and these just AI cores that are supposed to improve things like ray tracing and stuff that developers aren't even utilizing en masse right now because most cards on the market can't, they don't even come close to being able to ray trace properly. So even if these cards did have that, you would never be able to utilize that horsepower effectively in modern games. So I don't see NVIDIA doing that. I don't see them throwing, even like tensor cores in general. I don't think we're going to have tensor cores in just mainstream RTX cards. If we do, tensor cores in general are not designed to benefit the average gamer. The way that they work, it's all talked about in the tensor core video, but in a nutshell, that architecture is only going to benefit, truly benefit things like AI modeling, stuff like that, prediction analyses All of that stuff is better for AI computing, but not necessarily better for the average gamer. Denny, you're asking about what ray tracing is. I literally have a video on that. It came out this week, so scroll back 3 videos in the timeline and you can watch the ray tracing video. We talk about what it is and how the current Turing architecture works with ray tracing, how ray tracing is benefited by the architecture, and why it is so difficult to actually do on a graphical level. Let's see, Truckerbomb says, thoughts, will ray tracing put AMD out of the GPU business in 3 to 5 years? No, I don't think so. I think the competition it's missing. There's a big gap, I think, in the higher end cards, competition-wise, between the two. Nvidia obviously dominates the higher end market when it comes to gaming graphics cards like the 1070, 1080, 1080 Ti, Titan, all that stuff. We have Vega 56 and 64, but good luck finding one that's available. I mean, now you can find them, and they're pretty comparably priced to their Nvidia competitors, but the launch was terrible. Looking back on that, the launch was just not planned well. There was no supply really of them. I think they were underwhelming from a performance perspective. I think people overhyped them. There was a lot of stuff going on around that launch that just plagued it from the start. And at least that's how I saw it. And I was able to benchmark the Vega 64. I still have it. I haven't used Vega 64 since I've gotten it. I got the AIO version, with the radiator and stuff, but I haven't used it personally since then because, for one, I don't like all-in-one graphics cards. I think they look weird. And second, most of what I do, video editing and stuff, that I'm benefited by CUDA acceleration, right? That's Nvidia, obviously. Using Nvidia cards, I kind of have no choice if I want to extract CUDA benefits in programs like Adobe Premiere Pro. Victor says, I'd love to see NVLink-based SOI, and it does look like, I know we saw a leaked card, we're not sure what it was. Some people were thinking it was the 1180, then we switched it to like the RTX 2080 or whatever. We're not sure yet. We'll find out, I'm sure, very soon. But I expect that with the higher bandwidth demands of the new architecture, we will have to move to something else. I haven't looked specifically at the limits, the bandwidth limits of SLI. I don't know for sure. I know we used to use just 1 strip. Now we have to use 2 strips, the high bandwidth SLI bridges and stuff. But I'm sure we're approaching that boundary soon if we haven't already, and that's where NVLink comes in. So we'll do a more in-depth analysis on that once we get more details. Let's see. Okay, this is a good question here. Killerphobia asks, how much of a price drop do you think the current graphics cards will experience? I don't expect it'll be much different again than last generation. There's really, this is, big advancement, whatever you want to call it. This new architecture is totally different than last gen, but they always say that, right? I think at the end of the day, you're going to see a big bump in performance. Obviously, if not, people would be very disappointed. Nvidia stock would probably plummet, or at least partly because of the fact that gamers were disappointed in their hardware. Again, we have the mining decline. That's also playing a role in it as well. So there are a lot of things to consider. I think in general, though, we'll see steady price drops across the board down to maybe, for example, a 1070 costing roughly $300 or so. I don't see 1070s going for anything less than $300 for the next 1 or 2 years. I think while Turing, or this next architecture, this next generation of gaming cards, exists as the forefront of NVIDIA's gaming lineup, I don't expect a 1070 will cost less than $300. And I think, let's see. And I think the 1080, for example, no less than maybe 350, 400. Obviously, they can't cross over each other. That'd be weird. 1060s as low as $200. So maybe $100 to $150 price drop. That's about it. It's not going to drop much more than that, and people would gladly buy the used stuff if they could for those, for those prices. So it's going to work its way down slowly, all again based on supply and demand. Let's see. I saw a good question up here. Okay, scrolling up. Okay, let's see. Mark and Puff says, mining is not dead, just resting, and I never said it was dead. I don't know why he said that, but it's on decline. Mining in general is on decline. That is a fact, but it's not dead. Of course it's not. Let's see, Twisted Ninja at Science Studio. Going back to pre-stream, what do you think the actual manufacturing costs are for, say, like a K95 Platinum? Okay, shifting gears for a second. So keyboards. I was talking about keyboards. There is a certain company that was entertaining the thought of doing a $200 review, or $200. They're not paying me for the review. It's a $200 keyboard that they want me to review. And so they told me the price up front, and I'm kind of just, I don't know yet. Like, $200 for anything is a lot of money, and I'm just not sure if that's going to be. That was a cat. Pepsi, what did you just knock over? Is everything still working? She just like knocked something over, and there's a long cable on it. What are you doing, huh? She's looking at me all innocently right now, but she knows she did something wrong. I'll figure it out. If the live stream cuts off randomly, it's the cat. She stepped on the power strip like 2 days ago. Everything just instantly cut off. We were in the middle of like a PUBG match, so so yeah, she likes getting behind the desk, and I hate that because I have a big panel here that blocks all the cables, so you don't see any of the cables, hanging behind the desk. I did that just purely from an aesthetic purpose. But she likes to go back there because she feels secluded, like it's her own habitat. And sometimes she'll step on the power strip, and when she does, everything is gone. So, yeah, you guys know if it cuts out, that's what happened. I'll do my best to get back as soon as possible. Let's see. But in regards to mechanical keyboards, I think $200 is a little expensive. And so I'm kind of on edge because I feel like if I go into this review with an open mind, I'm not technically going to have an open mind because I already think that $200 is expensive for any mechanical keyboard out there. I mean, what could you put in a mechanical keyboard that would make it $200 is the question I have to ask. I know you can have the all aluminum, construction, RGB, everything. That's cool and all, but like to me, I think there's a ceiling for keyboards, no matter what switch you put in there, no matter what the build consists of, right? Metal-wise or plastic, whatever you want to use. So I don't know. Let's see. DeSavoyer says $200 keyboard, I would spend on more RAM instead. Yeah, I think there are many things that you could dish that money into. You could buy a $50 or $100 mechanical keyboard and take the other $100 and throw it somewhere else. So yeah, you could line it with gold, exactly. I really don't know for sure if it's even worth reviewing. I just want to be open with the company up front. I mean, because I would just tell them straight up, I think it's a little expensive given what I saw. They sent the link. Pepsi, hey, get out of there. Get out of there. Come here. Get out. She's like poking her head. She's poking her head out from the desk. She knows. Come here. Get. Pepsi. Sit. Come here. Hey, come here. I'm gonna keep her up here now. Okay. All right. You guys want to see the kitty? She's trying to bite me. But yeah, so, and like plenty of you guys are saying, K55 Corsair keyboards, stuff like that, those are relatively cheap. So it's hard to, I don't know, just wanted to get y'all's take on it. Anyway, let's see here. Any other additional questions in regards to, I saw something about, Nvidia architecture. Okay, let's see. Dan Stewart asks, do you think there's a possibility of software being developed to retroactively apply ray tracing effects to older games? Of course, utilizing the new RTX cards. Attempt number 4. That'd be really weird. Attempt number 4. That'd be really weird. Pepsi, Go. Come here. Get. Don't come here anymore. No. She thinks I'm playing with her. Okay. Don't. Pepsi, get. This is catastrophic. I'm just going to let her go. She's just going to do what she wants, and if it cuts out, I'll just kick her out of the room. And we'll try this again. I don't think that you can retroactively apply ray tracing effects. I mean, these games have to be designed from the ground up with ray tracing kind of baked in because it's all in the code. It's how these APIs communicate with the different code that these guys, it's all beyond me. But as far as I know, I mean, they would have to go back and literally build these games from the ground up again with ray tracing enabled. And that, of course, would defeat them. Why would you do that when you could just design a whole new game from the ground up utilizing ray tracing from the beginning? Again, no. I mean, think about it. You're in the business to make money as a developer, right? So you want your program, whatever, let's say game, to be accessed and played by as many people as possible. This is why optimization is so important, because when you design a game that only benefits those with the best hardware, you are cutting out at least 80-90% of your potential fan base, right? So your sales are automatically cut by 80-90%, and that's assuming the people that have the cards that can actually play the games even want the game. So you have to keep all of that in mind when you're assessing the viability of new APIs. New APIs, it's not really as... See, you can play games on older and newer APIs. That's not necessarily what we're talking about here. But ray tracing is something that is not easily baked into games. And so I'm just going to go ahead and say up front that I think it's a long way away. It's not something that many people are going to be able to support out of the box right now, because people on 970s, 1050 Ti's, GTX 950s, 750 Ti's, all that stuff, they're not going to be able to play the game unless you can somehow turn off ray tracing, which I don't know. Let's see here. Scrolling up. Ow, Evan. Just dug her nails in. Evan Turunen. What do you think of the 1300X plus an RX 560? Sounds like a great budget entry build. I think you could do some solid 1080p gaming with that system. Look, if that's what fits into your budget, I think that's the best combo you can go for. I'm glad you went with a 1300X and not like an i3. I think just objectively, an i3, it costs a bit more. There's an interesting, I don't know, I think you could probably make a case for the i3 just because you're no longer bound by hyper-threading on 2 cores. And if you could pick one up for $120 or so, maybe the $20 Delta is good there for purely gaming. If you don't plan to purely game, though, I'm not sure if that would be sufficient. Just because being bound by 4 cores, 4 threads, and that's it, you might want... Oh, she's biting the crap out of my leg. 4 cores in general now are going to get you by in most games still, but when it comes to content creating, photo editing, all that stuff, you're going to want the extra cores, you're going to want extra RAM. So it all depends on how you want to move your money around. I think that's a good combo that we have there. Let's see here. Dom Nagovsky. So when you pair 2 monitors, let's say 240 Hz and 60 Hz, then you're gaming on the 240 Hz one and you open a tab or you start watching something, the game usually locks it to 60 Hz on the 240 Hz monitor. That's weird. I had a gaming monitor and a 60 Hz monitor, so one was 144 Hz, one was 60 Hz. They were both running from the same PC, and I could literally like move a window over between both screens, and I could see the window change from a 144 Hz to a 60 Hz screen. Like I could split it in half and move it up and down, and you could see a huge difference. So I know you can do both at the same time, but that's kind of a weird question. I'm not sure why that would do that in game. Let's see. Is an overclocked 5820K worth upgrading at all versus price performance of today's stuff? No, I don't think so. I think you're fine with that for now. There's no point in ditching an extreme X99 system for something that's going to be comparable. Like Ryzen 5 is pretty comparable to 5820K. The Ryzen 5 2600, 2600X, very comparable actually. Okay, let's see here. Scrolling down here. Trucker Bomb, hey Greg, still have a 7350K box cutter? I don't think I do anymore. I think I broke it. I'm pretty sure I broke it, or I lost it. Yeah, that's how little I cared about that thing. Sir Gaming 101, what are your thoughts on the GTX 1050 Ti? 1050 Ti, I've got to tell you, they're decent. They were really, those cards kind of upset me during the mining craze, whatever you want to call it, because I was hoping those cards wouldn't be touched very much by miners, and on paper they're not the greatest mega hash per miner cards out there. They're just very power efficient is really their only advantage. But I think that what was happening was these card prices were going up across the board, right? Up to 1070-ish area. I mean, that was a sweet spot for miners, right? 1070s, AMD cards were being stolen up because of the extra stream processors, the benefits there. So those were all being affected. Prices were skyrocketing, but I felt like it trickled down, and I'm sure looking back this is pretty obvious, but those price hikes trickled down to the lower end cards as well, because I feel like people were discouraged from buying the higher end stuff unless they had money, flying everywhere. So they felt like they could compromise on a lower end card for now, and then they would upgrade once the prices resolve themselves. And in that process, those lower end cards were also affected indirectly because people had to buy those up now. Demand for those rises, price has to rise in accordance with that, or you'll have a supply shortage. And so I think they were kind of hit indirectly by the craze, and that ultimately drove the remainder of the graphics card market up. Now they're not too bad. I think what they were MSRPing at was an okay price, 1050/1050 Ti. There's a big jump though between that and the 1060. There's a huge price jump there for a lot of people in the budget space. So if you can squeeze the 1060 out, sure, but a 1050 Ti is going to be good for a lot of people, especially in the 1080p resolution. It's really plenty. Ouch, she's biting my leg now. Guy Kramer, do you think miners are going to jump on this launch? I really doubt it. I mean, the mining market is very different now. It's very different. And I have lots of friends who used to mine, who still mine, and what I pick up from them when we talk about this stuff is it's not as much now about. I mean, you can mine new currency or new cryptocurrency. All those kind of like venture capitalists who just want to jump into things from the start and just hope that they can make a quick buck without investing up front. But there are many more people now, I feel like, who are just strictly trading cryptocurrencies. And that obviously doesn't really involve mining, not on their side, because they're not the ones doing the mining. They're just trading the currency. I don't think it's going to be that. I don't know though. We don't know for sure how well these cards mine. If they're like insanely good miners for whatever reason, then sure, I think there'll be a little surge. I don't know though. But if it's the case for that, then it's also going to be the case for AMD with their new cards. So I have to just kick her away. She's like biting my leg like I'm attacking it, but I'm not. I'm being an innocent person. Gosh. Okay, scrolling. Let's see. Scrolling down here. Everyone likes. Oh no, I'm seeing something else. Okay. Ow. These comments are pretty good. Oh jeez. Do you think I should get two 1440p monitors or a single 3440 by 1440? I don't really know what you're doing. Vibratory Hippo 8. I don't have enough context to answer that question accurately. But I would say content creators definitely love the ultra wide stuff. I use an ultra wide 1440p monitor when I edit videos, and that is something that I think you should consider. If you're doing that. If you're just gaming, a single 1440p monitor is fine. And some games won't even support the ultra-wide form factor, so something else to consider. What's going on, Bob Flanders? Hi, Greg. You going to get the TR2 system? Don't know. I have contacts with AMD. I messaged them, said, hey, I didn't get a TR2 sample. You guys planning on send me one? And the answer I got back from them was, well, we can only pick so many people, blah, blah, blah. Basically, they don't know what they're doing. I don't know. It's just kind of strange that you would leave, like Jay with over 1 million subs out from that launch, but then give those chips to people with far fewer subs. I don't think that AMD really cares as much about the exposure. That or Edelman, their marketing agency, doesn't really care much about the exposure. I think they're more or less interested in like the unique perspectives that different reviewers offer, and maybe they felt like Jay and Kyle and Paul and myself, we all kind of offer a unique, or not a unique, but a similar perspective. So they only dished it to a few, and then they moved on to people in different categories. I don't really know. But whatever they decided not to include us, and I don't know when. I mean, I never got TR1, for example, so I don't know. I'm not getting my hopes up. If I get one, it's going to be from somebody else. It'll be from a motherboard manufacturer, or I'll just go out and buy one. But I don't know. I don't know if I would ever need 32 cores, or even 18 cores for that matter. So we'll see. Twisted Ninja says, I always like having dual screens, and my secondary is also fairly junky. Yeah, it's nice though. I'm using two screens now, and I like switching between. And ultra wide is a different kind of experience. I feel like with two different screens, first of all, you have usually more length real estate, so you can have two different things running on two different screens independently. Whereas with an ultra wide monitor, it's one single display. Sometimes you can split it into two different displays with two different cables, but it's just a little finicky. So yeah. Let's see. Dom asks, how is your Q60, and are you making an in-depth video on it? I'm still kind of in the works. I'm not sure yet if I want to do a full-on dedicated video on a car. like I used to, because people just freak out. They, when they see you do one car review, they think that your channel suddenly changed to, a car review channel, and they lose their minds. So I really don't know. Dalton says triple monitors are better, and actually, I'm really tempted to just sink some cash into trip monitor setups and have one for my editing rig. I don't know. That's a lot of space on a desk, and I like to have my PC also on a desk. So I'm gonna need like these desks here that I built are like 8 feet long. I'm gonna need an 8-foot long desk to run 3 27-inch monitors, plus have my PC on the desk and have space on either side where it doesn't look really weird. So I don't know, but yeah, I do like the idea of 3 monitors because it's more symmetrical, I feel like. What's going on, LOL Epic Nike here? He says, what's up, bro? I am new to your channel, and I am subscribed. I appreciate that. Natterman says, a lot of reviewers bought their own. Natterman, a lot of the reviewers who reviewed the product straight out of the gate didn't buy their own. A lot of the guys who, obviously, when you review it the first day it comes out, they were all sent samples. They couldn't buy it because it was never being sold, not up until that point. Trucker Bomb asked if I'd ever own a pickup truck. No, I'm not a truck guy. I'm an SUV guy. I would buy an SUV before I bought a truck. I understand the viability of trucks. Obviously, there are certain circumstances in which having a truck would be very beneficial, but I like the way SUVs look. Frankly, I like the way they look more than trucks. That's just me. Nanner Plant says, Greg, can you help me? My Fantex P350X has an RGB header, and that's a 3-pin, but my motherboard's JRBG input is 4-pin. Any ideas? Yeah, so that's because the 3-pin that's addressable. I'm pretty sure the 350X that's an addressable header. You're going to need to keep that stuff independent. So what I did with my system that you guys saw in my P350X build was I kept the RGB system that was built into the case separate from the rest of the RGB that I had running from my cooler and from my graphics card and stuff, and from the LED strip that I had in there. So you're going to have 2 different RGB controllers basically, and the reason why is because your motherboard doesn't likely support addressable RGBs. There are converters, you can buy control boxes and stuff, but at this point I would say just save the money, control the RGBs in the case on top with the little controller dials, and call it a day. Okay, here, scrolling back up. MTR Redux asks, do you make enough money on your YouTube channel that you can do that full time? Yes, sir. I do it put it this way. I make enough money on YouTube to where I don't feel like using my degree. and petroleum engineers they're not low-paid engineering jobs that you get in the petroleum field. The reason why I did it in the first place because it was one of the highest paid at the time. It's a little finicky because you have your cycles up and down with the energy sector. When energy prices, gas prices are really low, they lay people off. They don't get paid very much. And then when gas prices are really high, typically when the economy is not doing very well, we get paid a lot. So it's kind of a give and take. There are ways, obviously, the cycles with the economy kind of inverse of that, to be honest. But I could make a lot of money doing that. More money than I could make doing this at this point in time. If I got a job in the oil field, I would make probably twice as much as I'm making now. But I do this because I like it, because I get to be my own boss, and I get to talk with you guys in live streams on Sunday nights because I enjoy it. It's just fun. I couldn't do this in a regular field job, whatever. Let's see here. Okay, scrolling down. GTL Mike asks, are you going to make new videos on the new cards? Well, of course. That's what we do on the channel. Okay, scrolling down here. Ooh, okay. Arrow777 says, I'm thinking of buying an Oculus Rift for sim racing. Is VR worth it? Look, I really enjoy VR. It gets old pretty quick. I think if we need more developers in the space, we need more games. I think the games ultimately define how exciting VR is. I have an HTC Vive. I got a sample from AMD earlier last year, and then I liked it so much that I went out and bought my own HTC Vive when I had to return AMD's sample. So if that tells you anything about it, I liked it enough to drop $600 on a kit. But it's finicky. I had an HTC Vive controller die, and then I messaged them, and they said, yeah, it'll be 6 to 8 weeks to repair. I'm like, repair? Like, what are you talking about? Just send me another controller. I shouldn't have to wait 8 weeks to use my Vive that I spent $600 on. So terrible customer service on HTC's part. But again, it comes back to the games. It gets old quick for me, but everyone I have try VR loves it, especially when it's their first time. They freak out. It's a real feeling. It really does feel immersive, and seeing people's reactions playing VR for the first time, especially the intense games where things are running at you and stuff. Those reactions make it worth it. Even if it's not me enjoying it, seeing other people react to it, I love that. So take that for what it's worth. Okay, let's see, scrolling up. When do you expect the new cards? Matt, you'll be hearing something soon. Very, very, very soon. Let's see. I must like punishment if I like spending my Sundays with you guys. That's what somebody said. Cody Salak, isn't it weird to talk to a chat by rolling by, though? It is kind of weird. I'm kind of carrying on the whole conversation here. But you guys are contributing. I mean, I have so many questions and comments to address and stuff, and I love that. Sorry, my nose is itching. I love that, though. I love that you guys send me stuff. Look, if I didn't have questions, if I didn't have people wanting to get to know me, what I do on the channel, ask questions about tech, stuff like that, then I wouldn't do these live streams. So you guys make these happen, and I'm just kind of here to do what I can. If I don't know how to answer a question, I'm not going to act like I know how to answer it. I'm going to tell you either it's out of my league, or I will tell you I'll get back to you. I'll research it, and I'll either make a video on it, or I'll address it on Twitter or here, or wherever. So it's nice to see the different thoughts and stuff, the brainstorms and everything going on in the chats and on Twitter and elsewhere. So you guys keep me happy and excited, honestly, and this kind of stuff is my motivation to keep making videos during the week and not want to go have a normal job like a normal person. Let's see. Good with a good wheel and a good GPU. Okay, all right, so we're going to open it up to an Ask Me Anything. If you guys haven't already asked questions, then get those ready and start firing them off in the chat box, and I will do my best to answer as many as I can. If I don't get to your question, don't spam it. You can post it once every 2 or 3 minutes or so, that's fine, but don't spam it 8 times in a row. I purposely won't read it. It's not fair to everyone else. So that's really all I have to say. But yeah, go ahead and ask questions if you have them, even if they're weird, off topic. Doesn't matter to me. This is an Ask Me Anything. You can ask me anything. That's what it means, right? Stinky Pete 01 says, "Hi Science Studio, what are your thoughts on VA panels? I'm excited for the upcoming 3440 by 1440 200 Hz HDR panels, but I have no experience with VA. Can VA hold its own against IPS?" Stinky Pete, I have a video literally talking about VA versus IPS versus TN. You should go watch that video, because I talk about the pros and cons of each technology, and which one I prefer, and which one I think is the best bang for the buck, and whether you should even care which technology is being sported in the monitor that you're interested in. So, something to consider. Yep, I know I kind of blew through that question, but watch that video, and I guarantee you will feel comfortable with your decision after that. West Zero, or West O, what was your favorite product launch and the worst? Oh gosh. My favorite product launch, I got really excited when Pascal came out, honestly, because that was right when the channel started blowing up. We were gaining tons of subs. We were gaining thousands of subscribers per day. I remember some days we had 2,000, 3,000 subs at a time in one day, and that was like the most motivating thing ever. And this was while I was still in school. So at this time, I thought I was still going to have a normal job. Again, I thought I was just going to be a normal person, not do YouTube full time. But then when I got out, and the channel was where it was, I took the pay cut hit, or potential pay cut hit, to do this, because I do really enjoy this more so. And the Nvidia launch, the Pascal launch, was just around the time the channel was starting to really mature. And I was really excited, not only for that, for the time that it came out, but also because the cards were so much more powerful than what I was used to testing. So this is the first time I could actually cover hands-on the launches, and also give you guys the inside scoop, the benchmarks, and inform you before you spent your money on something that you otherwise wouldn't have known anything about beforehand. Okay, scrolling down here, the Burning Beaver. Do you think AMD G-Stand architecture is what's holding them back, or the price of the HBM memory they are forcing onto their higher-end cards? Interesting. I actually don't know enough about this to answer it fully. I will say that I'm sure HBM plays a part, and that's one of the reasons why Nvidia has avoided HBM, I think, is because they've seen what it's done to AMD and their cards and their manufacturing abilities. Like, they're limited by that market, because HBM it's one of those things that is definitely beneficial in some respects, but is it really worth it? I mean, do you notice? Can you tell when a card is HBM versus GDDR5 or GDDR6, right? So it saves space, right? So having on chip memory modules, I guess is what you know, high bandwidth memory. Having those on the chip itself allows the card to be physically smaller, and that's definitely a real physical benefit. But apart from that, and the higher, you know, the lower memory latency, stuff that's associated with it, do we really see translate into real world benefits, right? So that's something to consider. I'm just saying that, yeah, it's definitely played a part. I don't think the GCN architecture necessarily is holding them back. If that's the case, then, you know, stream processors in general, CUDA cores in general, we're going to be held back by those at some point anyway. But I think if AMD knew that was the limiting factor, they would have changed that a while back. Let's see here. I see a super chat. I want to get to the super chat from De Savoya. $5 super chat. Thank you for that, my dude. Here is what's left of a mail-in rebate that took 4 months. You have been great to watch. I appreciate that. You know, I sent in a Cooler Master Hyper T4 mail-in rebate 2 years ago. It was a $5 mail-in rebate. I was like, what the heck? I'll do it anyway. I never saw that $5. I don't know if they mailed it to the wrong address or they just didn't bother. But yeah, I never saw it again. No, let's see. Nicholas Phillips asks, do you dye your sideburns? That is no. I'm almost 24. So the answer to that is no. Oh gosh. Max Lawson 97. I think that $2 super chat, my dude. Case recommendations for under $100 looking at 350X. That's a great case. I mean, I recommend that definitely in the $70 price category. I think it beats out the S340. If you want around $100, the Define C tempered glass edition is a really great case. So is the Meshif IC, as is the P400 from Bantex and the S340 Elite. You should also consider, if you want to go just above $100, the Lee & Lee PCO11 dynamic cases. They are very nice, both the white and black variants. So there's a spiel for you in that general price category. Pishy A asks, have you ever tried gaming on Linux, Greg? No, I've never tried gaming on Linux. I've used Linux one time before, and it was on a Chromebook that I hacked and put Linux on, and then I very quickly switched it back to Chrome OS because I hated Linux. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm not very comfortable with Linux because I'm not very comfortable with software, not that kind of coding and stuff. So let's see, you're scrolling down to... let's see. Evan Harmon, 1070 Ti or 1080 really depends on the price. I can't give you something specific without context. Grumpy on PC, do you think RTX will be something amazing? We talk about that in the beginning of the live stream, so I invite you to scroll back. I think you can do that on the timeline, and we talk about it. Otherwise, it would be archived, this live stream, so you can watch it on the channel later. But I talk, quite extensively about Nvidia up front, and we'll close talking more about it, what I think. And what you guys should look forward to price-wise and stuff. Based on what I've seen, I don't like talking much about rumors and stuff, but we're pretty confident now in what we're going to hear over the next week from Nvidia. So we'll summarize with that again. If you were a vegetable, what vegetable would you be? From Agent W. Interesting. I think I would be broccoli or something. I say broccoli because I used to have really long hair when I was younger, and it always grew out, kind of like an afro. But it was a very loose afro because it's just, wavy hair, kind of curly, and it would do weird things. But it would look like broccoli, the way it would kind of sprawl up. It would just, my whole head would look like that, and then the very slim stalk for the neck. So yeah, that's probably what would fit. I'm not sure, just off the cuff. Let's see. 3Gs, I think we went to the same high school together and college. Mosley and Troy, love the channel. Thanks, 3Gs. I went to Troy for a year. I ended up switching to a program that had an engineering department. Troy doesn't have engineering. That's like the only reason why I changed. I was a business major, economics, I think is what it was, financial economics, at Troy for a year. And then I switched to the University of Louisiana because of that. But Troy's beautiful. I love Troy. I would go back to Troy in a heartbeat. And then, yeah, Mosley as well. What's your name, 3Gs? I probably know you. Scrolling down. Christopher ASDF, do you think 9900K will be a lot better than 8700K stock? I don't really know. I don't think it's going to be a huge jump in performance. Put it that way. We're talking maybe... And the extra cores are going to benefit it from an IPC standpoint, though. I would say no more than 10%. I'm going to say more or less in the realm of 6%, 6 to 8%, depending on the the real world architectural benefits and how well Windows 10 and other operating systems can utilize the new architecture. Taipei Taiwan 10, Greg, who is the we you talk about? Is the channel just you? I do have Lisa help me quite a bit. Lisa does a lot behind the scenes, as does Will. Will does his own thing. Will does Will things. Will is all over the place, and he's very good at all the stuff that he does. But every now and then he helps us here on the channel as well. So I don't like doing them a disservice, and you know, to me it's an insult when I act like people don't help me when they actually do. And so that's why I say we, even when I'm the only one making videos. I say it anyway just because I think it's the right thing to do. Trucker Bomb, what is your favorite current band? Favorite band member or favorite band ever? Favorite band ever has got to be Breaking Benjamin. My favorite current bands, probably Bring Me the Horizon. I like both of those bands for different reasons. I think Breaking Benjamin's very consistent. I love all of their music because it always sounds the way I envision Breaking Benjamin to sound. And then Bring Me the Horizon just has such dynamic songs. Like their new album apparently is going to be really good too, hopefully. But when you go back as far as Sempiternal and There Is a Hell and stuff like that, like those albums are just lit, but for different reasons than their new albums. Because like if you listen to Oh No or Follow You from That's the Spirit, and then you listen to, I don't know, Shadow Moses or something, you know, then like it's just two totally different bands. But they're so dynamic, they're so good and confident in what they do that they can sound that different. So yeah. Let's see, Ali the King. Can we play CS:GO for a video, maybe on a gaming channel somewhere? I'm sure. I suck at CS:GO. I haven't played. I have like 2 hours in CS:GO. Like I'm not very good at it at all. So I would be disappointing. But sure. I mean, I guess if I have some time, I could do that. DJ Ricks, what do you think about the i5-8400 and GTX 1070 for 1080p gaming? DJ Ricks, I have a video literally talking about this with those resolutions in a video. It's an i5-8400 plus a GTX 1080 Ti, so that's an even more extreme case. But watch that video; it'll answer your question. Let's see. Natterman says these live streams have gotten better and better. I believe a lot of good questions coming in, and Greg's not always saying I already made a video about it. He says that, and I literally just told a guy to watch the video. Look, the reason why I say that, not because I feel like repeating myself 20 times, because people ask the same questions every live stream, and they're new people, and I don't blame them if they don't know what was answered. I can't get mad at them for that or whatever. But when I tell people to watch videos, it's because the answers themselves aren't very straightforward. And like when it's a benchmark, like let's say how does an i5 mixed with a 1070 perform? I can't really just give you in a nutshell how well it performs. I could say that it's going to be a generally balanced system, especially for games that utilize a max of 4 to 6 cores, for sure, that aren't frequency bound, which very few cases they will be. But yeah, I tell them that just because I feel like those videos are out there for a reason. There's a lot more information in those videos than what I could tell you in a 30-second response on a live stream. So it would do you a solid to watch the video, not because I care about the view and I care about the fractions of pennies I will get from your view, but because it'll actually benefit you to watch the video. So there's my rationale. I'm trying to CMA here. Oh, let's see. Silent J Studio, show the cat. I did show the cat earlier in the live stream. You might not have been here, but she was here. I don't know where she is now. Oh, she's sleeping. I don't want to wake her up because she'll step on cables and crap. And she was doing that earlier, so I'm going to leave her. She's being a good girl right now. It's a good girl, Pepsi. It's a good girl. Yeah, she's out. She didn't even respond. Tactive, in today's competitive climate, do you think for a new streamer, YouTube is better than Twitch? That's really tough. I'm not very familiar with Twitch. That's why I stream to YouTube, because I don't have a huge fan base on Twitch anyway. But whenever I stream to Twitch, I get maybe 10, 20 concurrent viewers. Whenever I stream on YouTube, right now we got, 275 or so. So we can get easily 10 times the pull here. And that's why I think it's better to do it here for me, just because I built my original fan base here on YouTube. But in general, Twitch is, I think, going to be more competitive, depending on what you do, though. There are plenty of Twitch gamers out there, right? But I think the creative stuff, that's why the requirements used to be, I don't know if it's still the case, the requirements for creative Twitch streamers used to be lower than the requirements for gaming streamers, because the gaming was more competitive, right? So yeah, I think it's more competitive at this point to be a gamer on Twitch, but traction on YouTube it's tough. It's a catch-22, because YouTube isn't as popular for game streaming as Twitch is. So you gotta weigh the pros and cons. Ultimately, I think Twitch is still the better platform for this. but I really don't know if, I mean, you just have to feel it out. That's tough. Genki831 asks, do you think the PC building is a dying hobby? Absolutely not. In fact, it's been growing quite a bit. I mean, the number of people getting involved in PC gaming, PC building has been exploding, and that was partly due to the fact that channels were, I mean, you could see how fast channels used to grow, how many people are trying to do the whole tech channel thing now. It's because it was in response to how many people were getting into it at the time. When consoles were getting pretty expensive, people were like, screw it, I'll just build a PC and I get the best of both worlds. So, yeah. Let's see. Skybolt, what is currently your favorite laptop? It's the one I reviewed like 5 videos ago, the Huawei MateBook X Pro, best all-around the best all-around laptop in my opinion, from a portability standpoint as well as a performance standpoint. Render74, specs of your first PC. I get asked this like every live stream. i3 4350, I almost said 4350K. The i3 4150 and GTX 750 Ti, that was my first purely gaming build that I built myself. When I was younger, I was building and my dad would bring home PCs and I would tear them apart and put them back together and stuff, and that was his way of like teaching me intro electronics and everything. I was really young when we used to do that. I was always interested in electronics, but I never really knew how they worked until I got into school. So it really comes down to, at the time I was just wanting to build a PC that I could game on and video edit on, and that was what prompted me to build my first legit PC on my own with my own money, and that was what it had in it: i3 4150 and then GTX 750 Ti. Let's see. Ian Pang, not familiar with U.S. laws. What did you mean in your tweet about immigration laws? So I was talking about how difficult it is for people to immigrate to the U.S. So because Lisa and I are married, we can apply for a different visa. So we apply for the CR1 visa. You can apply for the K3 visa. It really depends. But generally, it takes about the same amount of time. It used to be the CR1 was a faster way to immigrate, and they kind of trade blows now. So 7 to 9 months roughly is what it's going to take before she can come here and stay here. Now, we could have gotten married when we did, and she could have just stayed because she didn't originally come here and plan on staying. So when we got married, it was kind of spontaneous. Like, we were already engaged, and we knew we were going to get married soon. We didn't want to wait, a year or whatever. But we weren't sure when we were going to do it, and at one point we just kind of decided together we were just going to do it, and it was pretty spontaneous. And we didn't really have a wedding or anything like that. We just got married, and it was, let's see, I think that was that was March 18th was our wedding day, but I think she left like 2 days later. Now, she could have stayed. We could have adjusted and stuff because we didn't plan on her staying. That was totally just out of the blue, because technically you can't come here with the intention of staying on an S-Star visa or whatever. That's defrauding the government. And we didn't know that. We didn't know about any of this stuff. So she went back home. Then we started reading up the immigration laws and what do we need to apply for? And then we got shafted because it turns out she can't come back now and stay because she already left. She can't adjust anymore. That's the rule. And the CR1 processing times are like 7 to 9 months, which means that we need to keep going back and forth now, paying these $700, $1,000 plane tickets to see each other. And it sucks, not only on our bank accounts, but it sucks just being apart. You don't marry somebody with the intent of being away from that person. So that's partly why I was kind of bringing up the immigration part of it, because that's why we're apart right now, is because the immigration process in the U.S. is so slow. So there's some, sorry about the romantic stuff. It's supposed to be tech talk. But yeah, that's it in a nutshell. That's why it's kind of frustrating. Okay, here. Matt asks, what keyboard do you use? Right now I'm using Master Keys from Cooler Master. I do have a G-Skill, KM570, not KM570, MK5, I don't remember what it's called. It's from G-Skill, 750 something. I'm just throwing out numbers at this point. I have a G-Skill keyboard I really like as well. The type of switch that I like the most, I trade blows between browns and blues. I like blues better from a tactile feel, but I hate the sound. The sound irritates me. I have OCD. I don't know what I have. But it irks me, and when I'm concentrating on what I'm typing, I love the feel, but I hate the sound. So I compromise on browns most of the time. So I'll game on browns, and I'll type on browns as well. Yeah. Anyway, let's see here. I appreciate you guys. G. Harris says, I work in immigration here in Canada, and I know this doesn't help, but it's much worse here. G. Harris, how long are your immigration times? Like if I married a Canadian and I wanted to immigrate to Canada, how long would the immigration process take before, or how long would I have to wait until I could live in Canada with her? I'm curious how long it takes. Let's see. Daniel Guthrie, hey Greg, overclocking my Ryzen 1600 when I set vCore to 1.35 in the BIOS. Hardware monitor shows it's pulling a massive VDD 1.55 volts. In your experience is accurate. I'm not too sure. Just remember, vCore and VDD are totally different. But I don't know. It's probably going to depend on the board. I'll have to check. But if all you're doing is tampering with vCore and you're leaving everything else on auto, then I would say in most cases it's safe. It might not be optimal, but it's likely safe. These are preset, auto conditions. When these motherboard manufacturers are testing these CPUs, they kind of calibrate all this stuff up front to make sure that the system runs stable. Otherwise, people who don't know how to tinker in the BIOS would always RMA their boards because nothing's ever stable. So as long as you leave that on auto, you should be okay. But I would have to do more research on that specific board to know why it's doing that. Scrolling down to... G. Harris says, ooh, live in Canada 1.5 years, easy. Ooh, that hurts. That's tough. I'm surprised the U.S. is easier than Canada. That's really weird because you would think now with the current political climate and stuff, and just I don't really know for sure, but I know that it's not. It's easier. It would have been easier 10 years ago to immigrate into the U.S. than it is now. Not just because of presidents and policies and stuff, but just because we have quotas and there are certain conditions in which it's just gets backed up. And when people immigrate in mass, it's a lot harder to kind of squeeze your way in there and immigrate quickly because it's all first come, first serve basically, unless you get special appointments and people rank you up. So, yeah. Let's see. The sound thing is misphonia. It's a condition similar to sensory overload where specific sounds unexplainably annoy you, like coughing, eating, etc. I wonder if they have Dan, I wonder if they have solid proof for explanations for why that happens, if there's some process in the brain that gives somebody that condition, or if it's just a generic term they use to explain something that scientists can't explain otherwise. I wonder. Let's see. Sankit, love from India. I love all your videos. I appreciate that, Sankit. Thank you for your support and thank you for watching. This would be Monday afternoon for you, correct? So I appreciate that. Let's see. Matthew Beebe, how do I open my motherboard's BIOS? Likely got a spam delete. So right when you turn on your PC, you're going to get that little splash screen of your motherboard logo and something else at the bottom. Just keep clicking delete until something different than your desktop shows up. That's going to be your BIOS. Let's see. Scrolling down here. Scrolling down. Rise official, should I get a new CPU or GPU for FPS? That's a very vague question, but in general, if you're looking for a higher frame rate than what you're operating at, let's say you're operating at 60 Hertz right now with your current monitor, and you want to bump up to a 144 Hertz monitor, very likely you'll be limited by your CPU. Very extreme cases in which the GPU is still the bottleneck. Obviously, if you're running a G210 with an i3 4150 in it, then your G210 is still going to be the bottleneck even at the higher refresh rate, just because you're not going to be able to run anything in that resolution, period. So, yeah. But in general, the CPU is going to limit your frame rate more so than your graphics card will. And that's due to multiple reasons. Parallelism is the reason why the graphics card is able to push so many frames at the same time. Your CPU has a fixed number of cores, very few by comparison to the number of CUDA cores and generic graphics cards and stream processors and AMD graphics cards. And that is one of the reasons why the CPU ultimately becomes a bottleneck. So there you go in a nutshell. Alrighty, here, scrolling down. Let me get to the bottom of things. Daniel Guthrie, $5 New Zealand. Wow, appreciate that, my dude. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate your feedback. Have a great evening. You as well. Actually, evening, you're in New Zealand, so 13, 14 hours ahead. So it's your afternoon, right? It's got to be your afternoon, pretty sure. Dude, the date line messes me up so bad. The international date line cutting through the Pacific, that throws me off. Every time I go to Computex, it just blows my mind because technically we're going back in time when we fly from Taiwan back to the States, because we're crossing the date line. Even though we're going forward in time, then we pass the date line, then we're back a full 24 hours. and it's just like, what? Like, so the whole plane trip is like -2 hours. It's insane. Anyway. Jarfly says, you are the best. I'm going to bed. Good night. Thanks, Jarfly. Thanks for watching. Welsh Blood, dude, your channel is awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. You guys are being overly supportive right now. It's kind of surprising. I feel like something fishy's going on. All Mixer Entertainer, you look like Superman. I probably look like a super anorexic Superman, but I appreciate the compliment, I guess. Scrolling down. Ali the King, what do you think of the i7 4790K at 5 gigahertz? That seems rather unobtainable, but if you think you can hit it, I would like to know how you hit it, with what cooler, if you're not LN2 cooling. That sounds really awesome, though. Okay. Let's see here. What else do we have? What else do we have? Oh yeah, so Daniel says it's the afternoon and it's my birthday too. Happy Daniel, happy Daniel. Wow, happy birthday, Daniel. I just butchered that whole thing. Jeez. Okay, Mr. Leonard, Greg, what do I do if my 970 doesn't display video? That is not a good sign, my friend. Check your PCIe connection. Swap the PCIe slot that your card is plugged into. More than likely, it's plugged into the top slot, just to narrow down the chance that it's your PCIe slot itself. Try moving that card down to a different 16-lane slot and see if it posts then. If it does not, then you might want to check. I mean, you don't want to you don't want to just up and decide that it's the graphics card and have to RMA it or return it or whatever. So you want to narrow down every other possibility. I mean, literally, like, check the power supply cables. If it's a modular power supply, make sure those cables aren't unplugged. You know, if your graphics card's not getting power, it won't send signal. Especially if it's a supplemental power connection we're talking about. That's really about it. I can't think of anything else that you can narrow down off the top of my head, but it's likely a graphics card issue if you're not getting a post. That is, in my experience, usually the case. Also, check Dr. Debug, plug in a speaker and see how many beeps you're getting and try to diagnose it that way, because it might not be your graphics card. You never know. You might not get a post for some other reason. Check RAM slots, all that stuff. But if you're assuming it's your graphics card or something having to do with it, then do what I said. Check the slot, check the power connection, and then narrow it down from there. Okay, let's see. Every time I scroll down, it screws up. I scroll down like 2 times, and then it kicks me all the way to the bottom, and then I have to scroll back up again. I hate this. Render74, what are the specs of your first PC? Dude, I literally answered your question like 10 minutes ago. So either you weren't paying attention or you're just asking again just to get my attention again. But I did answer that question already. So maybe you AFK. Let's see, Charles Bales, you have beautiful teeth, dude. I appreciate that, Charles. Honestly, though, it's kind of a front because these teeth are pretty straight. I had braces, but my bottom 2 teeth in the center, they kind of overlap each other. So they're supposed to be side by side, right? But one tooth fell behind, closer to my tongue, and then kind of like slid behind it. So they're not totally covering each other, but like you can tell that one's leaning on the other, and that sucks. So yeah, they're not really beautiful once you look at them. But braces did definitely help. Let's see, scrolling down. Festive, gotta go to bed, first day of high school tomorrow. I'm a freshman. All right, Festive, best of luck in your classes. Remember, school is very important, and like you don't need to be successful in school to be successful in life, but it helps. Okay, it really does help. There aren't as many barriers in your way. So best of luck. Let's see, Twisted Ninja, $5 Canadian. Thank you, Twisted. Appreciate that. Here's 5 CAD bucks, but really it's like 1.25 for you USD people. That's true. So here's enough money for a pop from the vending machine. What is your conversion rate? I'm gonna check because it's always changing. CAD and USD are always changing. Let's see, conversion. 0.77, so 5 Canadian dollars is $3.83. That's awesome. I appreciate that. Let's see, scrolling down though. Wow, in 2013 it was almost 1-to-1. And then let's see, it dropped in 2016. Wow, at the beginning of 2016 it dropped to its lowest point, 0.67-ish. That's really low. That's a big drop very quick. I'm not sure the underlying causes of that, but that's kind of sketchy. Okay, but I appreciate it. Thank you. Let's see. Matt asked, do you think I could overclock the 8700K to 5.2 gigahertz with a Kraken X72 AIO? It depends on the chip. Obviously, you have binning issues to worry about. So if you have a good chip, maybe. If you have a bad chip, absolutely not. If you delid and apply liquid metal, which is what this next video I'll be releasing tomorrow is about, then you'll have a much better shot at hitting that frequency. So maybe stay tuned for the video. You might might learn something and maybe be encouraged to delid. It sucks that we have to do it, but you know what? It's what we have to do because until it's terrible Tim over there dies. Daniel Connor. Greg, collecting parts for new build. Last 3 items are 9900K, motherboard, and 2080 Ti. Will it play 1440p at 144 Hz for the next 6 years? Dude, I don't look that far. I'm not a fortune teller. I have no idea. But I can tell you you're going to be set for a long time. And yeah, I mean, you know, if I had to guess, yeah, I think you'd be fine. But 6 years is a long time. Technology changes very quick. So I don't know if I would say 6 years. There's Render. Render74 says, oof. Yeah, that's right. Oof. I answered his question, and assuming it's a guy. And he asked the question later on, and I guess he didn't hear it. Okay, let's see. Yeah, Twisted says, yeah, dude, we were super stoked when our money had almost been about the same as the U.S., but then that changed again pretty quick. So you guys were like, yeah, we're right there with the U.S., and then what's happening? What's going on? Although our currency, to be fair, is pretty trash, too. So, I mean, look how strong the English pound is, right? The pound's always been higher than USD, as far as I can remember. So, yeah, let's see. Cody asks, check your Discord PMs after stream, if you could, please. I don't have personal messages enabled for people in the Discord just because I would get tons of personal messages. I get tons of personal messages on Facebook. You could tweet me, Cody, or you could just message us in the donor live stream or in the donor channel. It's much more open there, obviously because it's the donor channel. So if you want to do it that way, then I'll be able to respond personally to you. It's one of the benefits of being a donor, Patreon supporter, or in your case, YouTube sponsor, joiner, whatever. YouTube changed the join button. They changed it from member or subscribe, whatever they called it. Not subscribe. It was what was it? Oh, jeez. The subscribe button in Twitter, or not Twitter. The subscribe button in Twitch is the pay button, right? But then on YouTube, the subscribe button is not the pay button. It's the other button. I think it's the member button, whatever they called it beforehand. I can't remember. Sponsor, that's what it was. It was a sponsor button. And then they changed the sponsor button to the join button. And so now my old video talking about the subject makes no sense now because that button doesn't exist anymore. So GG YouTube. Anyway, yeah, rip. So, but I appreciate it, Cody. Thank you for sponsoring us, or whatever you want to call it, on YouTube now. And I'll check the Discord. So be sure to drop a comment or drop a question, whatever, and I'll check it out. Let's see. Dan says the pound's been doing really poor the last 5 years. Yeah, but the pound's still better than us, is what I mean. You're still doing all right by comparison. Yeah, 1.27. So over the last 5 years, let's see, in 2018 you were at 1.4. Now you're at 1.3 roughly. Your peak in 2014 was 1.7. You were almost 2 times. And then in 2007, right before the crash, which I think this is all inflated anyway, so I wouldn't even worry about pre-2008 stuff, but you were literally 2 to 2.05 times U.S. currency pre-2008, pre-housing crisis. So, yeah, it's been going down quite a bit, but you're still stronger than us. That was really the point I wanted to get across there. Thor Cox, is liquid metal worth the hassle? I'm going to answer that question tomorrow in my video, so stay tuned for that. Let's see. Eric Fainstock? Eric Fainstock. Remember me from last week? Honestly, no. I feel bad, but I gotta be honest, I really don't. But if you asked a question, if you did, then if you bring the question back up, I'll probably remember the question. There are so many names on this chat, honestly, it's really difficult to remember. I remember all the sponsors and stuff because they have little icons next to their name, and there are not many sponsors. So I know all of them. I know Cody, Mr. KF Gaming, Trucker Bomb, all them, because there's only 20 channel sponsors. But, there are a lot of names to go through otherwise. So, yeah. Let's see. Are you going to be watching the live stream, Greg? It's possible. I'll be asleep probably when it happens, but I'll watch the live stream after it's already been archived, I'm sure, and we'll see what's what. Okay. Vietnamese dong greater than USD. Nah, bro. No. I'm gonna Google it right now. Oh my gosh, $0.00043 US for one Vietnamese dong. My dude, that is the ultimate troll. Okay. Chris Ark says $1,000 or $1,200 for PC gaming. Dude, I have no. You gave me no context in that question. I can't answer it accurately for you. Patrick, will you ever review the Asus ROG HDR monitor? The new one? I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I guess there's only one new HDR monitor. Sure, if they send it to me, but I'm not going to go out and buy a monitor to review it. Those monitors are very expensive. Let's see. Do you use a UPS for backup? No, I don't, because I'm too cheap to buy one. I'm sure I could benefit from it, but honestly, I mean, if power gets cut off, I'll just power the thing back on. I'm not like running servers or anything where I need constant power or power backup. So, yeah. Okay. Let's see. Oh, Matthew's asking about BIOS stuff. Matthew, I do have an overclocking guide. It's a very old overclocking guide, but if you type in, Science Studio overclock guide, then you'll see it. I was like 2 years younger. It's like a 2-year-old video, but the principle's still the same. Matching vCore, trying to find the optimal vCore, lowest vCore possible with the highest attainable frequency. Tweaking a few other things is also possible, but load line calibration and stuff. But in general, vCore and frequency are the ones you really want to worry about. You could do per core overclocking and stuff too. New member, we have Dan Stewart is a new member of the channel. That means that he's paying $5 a month to be a channel member. He gets a cool battery next to his name that will progressively increase in charge until it reaches the full green battery charge at the end of it. I appreciate that, Dan. And look, hopefully you want to stick around so you get that beautiful green battery. It's a way of kind of suckering you in to keep wanting to be a member. But we'll see. So now I'll remember Dan forever because Dan's got that icon next to his name. That's really cool. By the way, if you guys don't like the icons or whatever, we can always change those to something else, some other like incrementally increasing icon. This was just something I came up with on the top of my head because, yeah. Let's see here. Levin Castillo, please help look back at 8:04 p.m. 8:04 p.m. It's not even 8:04 p.m. here. You should have asked. If you asked a question, you should have asked it in that donation because I can't see it. I can't go back that far, and there are no timestamps on any of these comments that I'm looking at. So you kind of SOL. I'm sorry, but just comment. I'll look for your name so that you don't feel like you threw money at me for nothing, and I will try my best to answer if I see it. Levin Castillo, I will look for your name. Okay, Patrick, did you ever go to school for engineering? If so, what type of engineering did you select? Yeah, I went to school. I have a petroleum engineering degree, and I'll be graduating in like a month and a half with my master's in business administration. So kind of two different things there. But yeah, I have a video talking about the engineering program, my experience with it and stuff, by the way, in a dedicated video. If you're interested in that. And Kafasa says chemical. A lot of people think I was a chemical engineer, and that's really because petroleum engineers they're few and far between. That's not to say that we're rare, but like our occupations are very specialized. Not most companies could benefit from having a mechanical engineer on hand or an electrical engineer on hand. Chemical is a little more specialized, and then petroleum's very specialized in the sense that we do one thing. That's it. Like electrical engineers can do more. Like they can work on more than one thing. Like we have underlying electrical, mechanical and chemical principles that we had to study when we were in school. So we took thermodynamics, electrical circuits. We took all the generic engineering classes and stuff. But then we specialized heavily on drilling, geology, and the like. And as a result, that's kind of all culminated into this petroleum engineering field. But yeah, I could go and do that and make $100K a year. But part of me, I still want to send out resumes and see. I was a good student. I graduated with a 3.8 GPA in college, and that's not easy in an engineering program. But it was something I was always pretty good in school. I never went out and partied, anything like that. I ran YouTube full time while I was in college. Building a business while in college. Keeping my grades up, that was like, I was a good boy, and it paid off. I don't have to work as an engineer because I can do this. But how much longer I can do this before it becomes unsustainable, I don't know. If YouTube deletes my channel tomorrow, there's another scenario. So I'm glad I have the degrees to kind of act as a fallback, even though I never went into these degrees thinking they were going to be fallbacks. But yeah, there are chemical engineering classes we have to take. Fluid dynamics, organic chemistry, stuff like that, transport phenomena. And then there are some mechanical principles as well: statics, mechanics, materials, thermodynamics, physics 1, physics 2, you name it. So yeah, that's about the culmination of it. Mr. Ma, thank you for that $5 super chat, my dude. Good to see you're doing well, my dude. Love the channel as always. I appreciate that. Chances the next i7, i9 will require a new motherboard. 7700K is lacking in cores. Yeah, that's something that Brian and I were talking about. It's looking a lot like they're gonna. I would put money on these CPUs requiring new motherboards. The reason why I say that is because it's all about power delivery. So Z370 has a fixed, I mean, not a fixed power limit, but Z370 motherboards, I don't think are going to be able to tolerate the power draws from 8-core CPUs. I really don't. I don't know. It's going to be tough, especially at the higher frequencies. I just don't see it happening. I think we're going to need a new platform for them. I think maybe some of the the lower chips will be compatible with BIOS updates. Maybe the i9 9900K, whatever it's called, will be compatible too. But if I had to put money on it, I would say no. And looking at Intel's track record, there was there was one time that I can recall recently when we could do that. That was Skylake to Kaby Lake. And that was effectively the same architecture. I mean, there was literally no difference there, right? But with Coffee Lake now, there's a difference. And with whatever we're going to have next, also a difference. That's at least what I think. So good question. I've talked about that a lot, but I think the answer to that is yes, it will require a new motherboard, which is unfortunate, but, it's Intel, so. Oh, I spilled some water. All right, so we're going to do a couple more questions. It's like 10:10. I try to keep this to an hour or so. It starts to drag out past an hour. But you guys are asking really good questions, so I'm going to keep doing that. Let's see. Tata1988 says 100K a year. Not really. It's at least 130K year. 130K a year here in GCC country. Ooh. And excuse me. That really depends on the location, obviously, yes, and it also depends on the current market. So right now, like, I knew there was a guy at the top of my class who was, he was the best of the best in our class. He had, every credential you could think of. He started working for Chevron. They hired him on. I think they offered him a 20K signing bonus and 100K a year. And this is Chevron. So, and in the U.S., right, we drill a ton offshore, Texas, Louisiana, onshore, South Dakota, North Dakota, some places like that. So I would say saying 130K a year is not a fair estimate for the States right now. For the States right now, it's about 100K a year in general, signing bonuses and stuff aside. So, and that's likely starting, which is really good. I mean, it's one of the highest engineering salaries around. But again, like, knowing that I could possibly make that much money, or even more than that, is still not enough to get me to stop doing what I'm doing, or even make this a part-time job. It really depends. I miss the benefits and stuff of a real-time job, but I don't know. I think at some point I'll have to anyway. And Lisa and I start thinking about having kids and stuff. It's going to be really expensive because YouTube has no benefits for its creators. We have to pay for health insurance and all that stuff out of pocket, retirement, all of that. So that's something you forego when you decide to be a YouTuber or Twitch streamer or whatever. Just FYI, people don't think about that till they're in it. Let's see. Rusty Shackelford, Greg, do you have plans for the channel when the tariffs against China rear its ugly head? Not sure what all that's going to encompass yet. I don't want to make predictions. People are freaking out, saying it's the end of PC gaming, all this crap, because they think that the trade wars with China are going to cripple everything. Anything that is electronic is going to be, surging in price, whatever. I'm going to wait and see before I make speculations about that kind of stuff, because we don't really know. I mean, China and the U.S. right now, because the U.S. is suddenly randomly aggressive with China, and China's responding accordingly. China's like, hey, you push us, we're going to push you back. We got to look strong. Every country that thinks they're the best country is going to do that. But every now and then we see compromises, and those compromises alleviate some of the concerns in the markets, especially with the U.S. markets, right? We look at the New York Stock Exchange. Every day we hear good things about the trade wars. You see the stock prices just jump up, all green arrows, everything. Investment's great, outlook is great, forecast is great, and then all of a sudden we get bad news about the trade deals, and then everything goes down. We have red arrows everywhere. No, it's just an up and down game of BS, frankly. And everybody is just on their toes, willing to click the buy button or the sell button, depending on whatever they hear on CNN or Fox News the next day. It's all garbage, in my opinion. The market is so unstable and unpredictable because it shouldn't be as high as it is. In general, I don't think I'll invest for the time being in anything, just because I don't think I could predict it accurately enough. You could look at any financial record you want, any balance sheet, financial statement. You know, you just never know. And the only ones that really benefit are the inside traders and the people that already have tons of dollars spread out in huge portfolios, and they're making bank anyway. So yeah, there's my spiel on the market, but that's one of the reasons why I don't really touch it. Let's see. Okay, Stinky Pete, does it make sense for a BIOS limit if Z370 can't fully power a 9900K and then fully power with a C390 chipset? Does it make sense for a BIOS limit if no, that's what I'm saying. If there's a power limit, then it's not going to be a BIOS update to fix that issue. That's what I'm saying. If it's a power limit, you're going to need a new platform, a new chipset, a totally redesigned motherboard from the ground up. You can't just suddenly want to pull more power through and expect the VRMs, everything, to manage power distribution accurately and safely without getting super hot. We don't know yet. I don't know how efficient these chips are going to be, but off the top of my head, I'm just thinking that they're not going to be compatible. Matt Barnes, that's a good question. What is this? Max safe temps? Max safe voltage. I'm assuming you're meaning VCore for Ryzen 2nd Gen. I think Ryzen there's a limit of like 1.5. Nobody should ever go that high. I wouldn't go above 1.4 personally. If you could get to 1.4 and keep temps down, then fine. I doubt you'll be able to do that because there's a really, really steep threshold there. Once you get to 1.4, temperatures really skyrocket. But in general, I keep mine around 1.3, 1.35. And I call it a day. I don't go any higher than that, if I'm recalling correctly. I get Intel and AMD V-cores confused, but they're usually pretty close together. I'll have to check. I don't remember what I have the overclock on this 2700 here, but I'll have to see. Let's see. Leaving Castillo, does 1700X on X470 have better RAM compatibility? I don't think so. It's not the same as running 2700X on an X370. So in my testing, I found that it was the CPU itself that was struggling to keep up with memory frequencies and timings. So even if you run a 1700X on an X470 and the X470 motherboard supports the frequency, it doesn't mean that the CPU is going to. I would not buy an X470 board with the expectation that the memory that you buy is automatically going to run an XMP profile with 1700X. My 1700X is a pain in the butt to get XMP profile enabled on. No matter what I do, any RAM kit I use, XMP is literally impossible on every X370 or B350 motherboard I use. It's definitely going to be CPU bound in that regard. If you're really worried about that, I would sell the 1700X and try to buy something else. But that is a limiting factor for sure. Let's see. Okay, Eric Fainstock. What do you think of the new Chinese console with a custom AMD SoC? I breeze past that low. I saw that article or whatever. I saw one of the articles regarding that thing, and I didn't really care. I saw console and I was like, yeah, whatever. It just doesn't entertain me. Literally, the word console turned me off. That's how anti-console I am. AC Crouch 2016. Hi, your videos are helpful. I appreciate that. Thank you for stopping by and checking us out. Tech Crimson, thank you for being the moderator, by the way. I appreciate that. I meant to make one other guy moderator. I see Tech Crimson in here all the time. That's awesome. Let's see here. Woke No Time says, hi Greg, good to catch a stream of yours. What's going on, Woke? I appreciate you stopping by. Anas Basley, thanks guys, love this Q&A session, really helpful. I appreciate that. Look, I'm just trying to fire off as many questions as I can. My voice is parched, my throat's parched right now. But we're about to end the stream. Maybe let's do 2 more questions. So if you guys throw questions at me, I want to see good questions. Don't spam with the same question over and over, but give me 1 or 2 good questions that you want to hear answered in the next 2 or 3 minutes, and I will do my best to pick the best one. I don't know. I can't read every question and answer every question, obviously, but if I didn't answer your question in this live stream, come back next week. We do this every Sunday night or Monday morning. It's 9 p.m. CST, Central Standard Time, here in the States on Sunday nights. That's whatever translated time it is where you live. And, yeah. Okay, let's see here. Beastmaster 101, PCIe wireless network cards versus USB dongles. In my experience, the wireless cards and PCIe wireless cards are way better. USB dongles are going to be limited not only by their bandwidth, but also by, well, in most cases, it's just the antennae in them. The antennas are terrible. And the USB interface is also kind of an extra bridge. So in my experience, wireless cards that plug into PCIe slots are much better. Good question, though. Let's see. Mr. Bob 22, are cards with pre-installed water blocks good? Generally, yeah. I mean, it's going to depend on the PCB though. So it might be a custom PCB with better power delivery standards, higher power tolerances, more overclocking headroom, stuff like that. You got to find out what the PCB exactly is. If it's a Founders Edition card, it's no different in overclocking terms than a regular, GTX 1080 buy from Nvidia store. So you got to look at the PCB. And one more. Let's see. Something good. Let's see here. Something good. Let's see. I see Nathaniel Turgman. GS65 Stealth Thin Opinion. I looked at it. I don't like the way those look. I like smaller form factor laptops. My MacBook X Pro I drool over because it's just like the perfect size, 13 inches, 13.9 inch screen, no bezels basically, and it's got a dedicated graphics chip in it. So I would go for that over a gaming laptop just because I don't like how terrible gaming laptop batteries are. Their batteries, they drain so quick. And I mean, at that point, why, if you got to keep it plugged in everywhere you go, just build a desktop. Anyway, let's see. I see you guys. 4K high refresh rate at a good price. You're not going to find that. 4K 60 Hz is all you're going to find at a good price at this point. Let's see. Nisarj Patel, do you think the price of the 1060 will drop after new GPU outcome? That's a good question. And let's go ahead and we'll end there. I see Mr. KF Gaming. I'll answer your question as well because you're a channel member, so I'll get to you in a second too. But Nisarj, I will say this. If it's anything like it was last time around, right, with Maxwell falling behind Pascal when it was released, we saw prices of like 960s, 950s, 970s even fall about $100 or so a piece. We talked about this a little bit in the beginning of the live stream. But my anticipation is that when these new cards are launched, which will be very, very, very soon, we will see gradual price drops. Obviously, these cards aren't going to be released instantly. You're not going to be able to get your hands on one instantly. I'm sure there will be shortages and stuff like that. There was last time. But if it's anything like last time's release, Pascal's release, I would say the 1060 is going to drop to roughly $200. If it drops any lower than that, I'd say it's going to be a really good deal because anything lower than $200 for 1060 or comparable 980 performance, if you want to talk about Maxwell performance, is a really good value. But it's not going to drop to $200 instantly. It'll take time, and if it drops below $200, then money, in my opinion, because 1060s right now are still around $250, $300. It's tough. They've always been slightly more expensive than their RX counterparts, but they're good cards. There's definitely nothing wrong with the 1060. And Mr. KF Gaming. Hey Greg, which smartphone are you most hyped about for each? Oh, which smartphone are you most hyped for each year? I see. I really like what LG does. I've been using the V30 for quite a while. I love the V30, and I think in general, LG does really cool things with their phones. I think the G7 looks stupid though, I'll say that. Like, they have the notch and they have a chin. I think that was a terrible choice. They should have done what iPhone did and just go with no chin, but I feel like they were limited by their technology maybe. But I like the V series. The V30 is a really good phone. The V35, V30 Plus, all those different variants of the V30. I really like those. So LG keeps me on my toes. I also am looking forward to the Pixel 3. And it's really about it. I mean, obviously what Apple does next as well, just because I like seeing what weird, new, innovative thing Apple's going to do. So we'll see. By the way, yes, Tech Crimson, a link to the Discord. You can check out the Discord link down below as well. If you want to join our open public Discord, you can chat with myself. You can chat with Brian from Tech ES City. We share the Discord together, and we can get our tech on. I see a lot of questions here. I'm sorry, guys. It's really there's a lot of questions here. I tried answering as many as I could within an hour and 30 minutes or so. I'm going to eat dinner because I haven't done that yet because I'm a straight baller, and I prefer working before I eat. Because once I eat, I get lazy and I sit down on the couch and I fall asleep. So I got that planned for tonight. But thank you guys for watching this Sunday night or Monday morning or Monday afternoon, depending on where you live on the planet. We do this every Sunday night, Central Time, 9 p.m. CST here, so translate that accordingly. And these are all Ask Me Anything Q&As. So you can ask anything. It doesn't have to be about tech. You see, we talked about immigration and other things today. But I think that this is a good kind of culmination of a weekly synopsis of all the channels or all the different videos that we upload every week. We can talk about stuff that we described and discussed and showcased in videos. You can ask my opinions on products. You can ask me what's worth it, this or this, and I can give you my opinion on that as well. And you guys have been really helpful, giving me plenty of content in these live streams to talk about. So thank you all for that, the 200 to 300 of you watching. Now we're going to spam the chat. So to end this live stream, I invite all of you to spam the chat with your favorite emojis. I want to see them. You can see Tech Crimson right now is spamming the chat. I want all of you to do it as well. So your favorite emojis, I see them rolling in. I love that you guys did this and I didn't even have to tell you. This is awesome. So start giving me the best ones. I'm going to give you shout outs if I can see you, and we will end the live stream. So let's see here. I see obviously Tech Crimson with this first one. I see Ali the King. I see, who else? We got to wait for him to roll in a little bit. Oh, there they go. There they go. I see him now. I got Denny Blanco. Look at that. Full Metal Bard. Y'all's names are so funny. Bharat Parsia, I see you. Let's see, we got Skip, Escalade, Bob123 Render 74. What's going on? I see Shizoon. I see Thor Cox. I see Dan Stewart. I see Eric. I see Thor again. I see, oh my gosh, Machiaville. I see you. I see Bobby Z. I see Noki1117. I see Bob again. I see, oh my gosh, Nisarj Patel, Robinson Joe with those rock on. I see that. All right, that's my dude right there. Let's see, Phantom Freak, Corey Mooney. I'm seeing all, Jesus, so many of them in here. I'm seeing Jay Meister. I'm seeing another one from Corey Mooney. We're getting all the good stuff in here now, folks. Invulnerable guy. Oh, jeez. Enes Basley. All right. Nathan Turgeman. Reviews. Bow to Beast. Your names. Oh, gosh. All right, folks. I appreciate the spamming of the chat, and we'll try a little better next time. George TP, I see you. 1990 O'Neill. Alfredo. Oh, now they're rolling in. Maybe we were a little late, and I'm seeing them all come in now. Bacardi Batman, you guys are awesome, and I love ending the stream this way. I get to give you guys shout-outs for watching. Vim Commando, what's going on? Jay's Random Videos. Kevin, I see you. And Paradox 15. You guys are lit. All right, we're going to end the live stream. Thank you guys for watching. Please stay tuned. We will be back here again next Sunday night, 9 p.m. CST. Stay tuned tomorrow, by the way, or in about 12 hours or so. Our D-Lid and liquid metal application of the 8700K from Intel will be going up on the channel. It's like a 16-minute video, but it's really cool. I outline how to do it and talk about temps and all the benefits regarding that. So yeah, Discord. Check out the Discord. You guys spam it. I appreciate it. And again, we will see you next week. This is Science Studio. Thanks for live chatting with us.